Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking to my friend Brie, and we're going to be talking about self-confidence, mindset, and much, much more. So just introduce Brie quickly, then we can go into the conversation. So Brie is a mindset coach to online business owners, and she's also a top 5% podcaster globally as well. So, Brie, welcome to the show. I'm glad we can make this happen. I know we were talking for a bit, both of our crazy schedules and time changes and everything like that. So, yeah, be really interesting to hear a little bit about. I see a lot of your content, and I love it, and you're very passionate about helping people through some of these mental blocks, through mindset, really building up their self-belief and self-confidence, which is what we're all about. So yeah, and I know you came from like a day-to-day role, so be
Did.
really interesting to hear what got you so much into this area of mindset and your passion behind it.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I can answer that very easily because truly, I thought I had a good mindset for a long time without even understanding what mindset was. And so, thank you for asking me that. I can give you a little background
Of
about where
course,
I came from and then why I am now coaching this. Is I
absolutely.
come from I had a 9 to 5 job as a financial advisor. I was trading stocks, I was trading bonds, I was managing people's money. And from the outside, I had a lot of confidence. But on the inside, my mindset was a hot mess through most of this job. And so it was one of those high pressure, high stress jobs that seems really glamorous from the outside. And we had to have our lives together and we had to externally project confidence when you're managing people's money because it's emotional and the market falls and recessions happen or they're about to happen. And it's all me trying to manage my, at that time, financial clients' expectations and be the face of confidence and being able to predict what was going to happen in the future. Externally, I got very good at this.
Mm.
Internally, I was a big ball of emotions and what if and anxiety and worries about what if this is all wrong? What if all the financial news that I am getting told and that I have learned actually is false? And what if I lose this money for these people? And it carried so much anxiety that over time, I had to learn what to do with it because I hit a huge mental roadblock, had burnout through the roof in this job and again, had to be this stoic, confident person guiding people in their financial future. It was a lot of pressure. And at some point, I mentally collapsed from it and did not have tools on what to do with it. I thought I was this confident person that inside suddenly felt very lost and very unsure about everything. And my self talk spiral and my anxiety was just going down and down and down in this job. And so one day I got on the internet and somebody recommended a podcast to me and it was about mindset. And I was like, oh, it's just this positive thinking crap, right? Oh, this
Mm.
positivity. And it was practical tools that taught me about my brain and how and why humans are designed to focus on the negative and the anxiety. And the pieces just started to make sense to me. And the things just started to click and how I had seen my own clients when they get emotionally drained, what it would do to their mindset and their behaviors, and that it would affect their finances. And just suddenly it was like this giant puzzle piece of why humans do the things we do when we're emotional and when we're worried and when we're anxious. All the pieces fit together for me suddenly. And I realized it's the behavior that I really like to learn about in the psychology. And I didn't care that much for money. So, anyways, I found that this was the direction I wanted to go in life once I went on my own rabbit hole of how to control my own emotional spirals, anxiety, depression, mindset, worries. And I left finance to do this. And I like this so much more now that I truly feel like I understand why I wasn't a broken human in this situation, but we do this to ourselves naturally, unfortunately.
Wow, no, thanks, Brie, and I can certainly relate to being confident on the outside in like day-to-day roles and then actually inside. I always like sort of on this show I always talk about like self-esteem and the confidence, and you can sometimes be confident like in something because you've done it again and again, and sometimes you can put on this like act as well, And as you were, were saying, you had to kind of like play up. And
Yep.
there's certain times, admittedly, and thanks for bringing that up, that it wouldn't go in your favor to act, in a kind of worried, negative manner in certain environments. But actually, on the inside, sometimes our confidence for ourselves and actually trusting our own ability to do it is like a completely different conversation
Exactly.
going on inside there. And then also the self-esteem element, sometimes our relationships, and it wasn't for me, certainly our relationships not very good. Mine wasn't very good with myself,
Mhm.
as it could have been as well. So do appreciate you sharing that was a situation for you, and then you went and worked on a lot of that.
Absolutely.
So with your like shifting from the going from like the 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur like full time, um, was there a lot of work you had to do there and kind of to shift that in order to make that move? You're laughing, I can see.
Yes. A lot of work is an understatement. It's the
Yeah,
understatement of the century. Yes, there is a lot of work that I am still doing and processing. So I started building the business kind of behind the scenes in my finance job because I come from finance, so I wanted the math to make sense before I officially stepped away and made this my entire full-time income, lifestyle, everything. So there was some preparation. And then when I actually stepped away was this past October. And so it's been almost 6 months. And it has been a huge mental shift in good and bad ways, honestly. So it's been a bigger struggle than I expected with my own confidence again, going through the entrepreneurial. If you've ever seen the graphic of the highs and the lows and the dips and the valleys,
yeah.
and it's a roller coaster ride. We joke about it, but it's absolutely true. And it's the same shifting from having some structure and systems and a job that I was very comfortable with, I'd been doing 8 years, to now, again, I am solely in charge. I am my own manager and my own boss and my own marketer and accountant and salesperson. It's a lot to take on. It truly is. And so there's a lot of grace you have to give yourself with it, knowing that I'm not going to be an expert at every single one of these departments that now I am the sole director head of. And you just you have to do the best you can each day, knowing that you do have to learn a lot of information. And I have, and any entrepreneur that goes through this, you learn so much more than you give yourself credit for, but the imposter likes to come
Mm.
in and say naughty things to you. So truly, it all comes back to your foundation of your mindset again, and getting connected with your why. Why are you doing this? Seeing your progress along the way and giving yourself grace for knowing that, of course, there's going to be some chapters and some seasons that are not the best, but that means there's still better ones to come. And that every maybe blunder and mistake, and I have made many in my business as I've learned, there's always a lesson on the other side you can build from. And so I'm very grateful for some of the missteps I've taken, even since going full time myself. I have
Mm.
learned a lot, and now I can build from all of that. So has it been a transition? Oh yeah. Am I still
Oh yeah.
going through it? Oh yeah. But I'm excited because it's made me grow in ways I never thought possible. And I never thought I would be out on my own doing this in the first place.
Wow. Yeah, you never know where life's gonna take you, but yeah, the amount of work you've it sounds like you've had to do on yourself. And yeah, and it's interesting what you said about you did the maths a little bit and working out if, as someone from a financial background, you did that. Um, sometimes I always hear like there's different things like, oh, burn the boats, go full in. And I've seen people do it and they've not necessarily got the savings or the backings or the idea, and it's gone horribly wrong. Sometimes they do that and it can go right as well. And I guess for you, it was kind of actually logically working it out as well as making a calculated risk. Would that be
Yes.
fair to say?
I think there needs to be a happy medium for you to really be at peace with the decision and also be able to serve. Because I mean, you've coached, you know how this is too. We're giving advice and we have to serve from a place that if our cup is empty or we're focused on deficiency and lack and I need to make money to make this work, we're not serving effectively. So I think there's a happy
Mm.
medium between taking the leap of faith because you want the thing and you want to make it happen and you're motivated and inspired, but also being whole enough and stable and have the enough belief that you're serving at an effective level. So you're not worried about the money all the time and how do I make it and how do I do this? It's very different leadership if there is some financial stability versus what I'm going to call the like YOLO, burn the ships, fuck it, I'll figure it out. I was not ready to do that. I am not that person. I need some stability so that I know I'm giving my clients my best.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I needed to have that kind of planned out and see that it was possible and a taste of it before I was ready to go ahead and burn my ships and leave my job.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's a great perspective and way of saying it. And yeah, again, it's whatever, whatever the individual decides, but it's yeah, it's that would kind of be my approach as well to the to the situation. I like to calculate things as well. Whilst there's a point where you can be like calculating, planning, and not taking any risk.
Yes.
It's, for me, it's about that happy balance. But then I've been in that place where it's been too impulsive, and it wasn't. It's got me into some tricky situations. So yeah, it's kind of learning from experience a bit on that. So I know, Brie, what I love about your stuff is it's you give quite a lot of practical stuff, and a little like tips and tools for you, like every day to work on that, like inner talk, like now, and work on your mindset. Is there maybe one or two things that are perhaps non-negotiables or really strong tools that you love? I know there's such a range out there, but it'd be really interesting to hear if you got any personal
Yes.
preferences.
I've gone through phases of having a very structured, very rigid morning routine. When I first got into mindset personal development, like that is what kept me on track, being very rigid and structured. And now I've gotten time to kind of explore what works for me and what doesn't. So I'd say my two non-negotiables absolutely right now are continuing to journal. And it doesn't always have to be question answer journaling, and it doesn't have to be gratitude journaling. Journaling in some way for me is a release to get my thoughts on paper so that I can step back and be the observer and kind of say, like, what's the narrator in my head saying right now? And is this in line with, I'm going to call it like my best future self, the person that I am excited to become and can make this business vision a reality? Or is it my anti-self? Is it the narrator of the imposter, the villain? I call them my mindset gremlins. It's my little characters that tell me, start tomorrow, you don't want to do this, like eat the extra pizza, like all the little bad things. If I'm in a state of confusion, I'll call it, or I need to make decisions and I'm putting it off, or I just don't have any clarity, I will put whatever thoughts I have about that on paper. So again, I can be the observer and say, okay, what's the narrator saying? And is it the empowered version of me, or is it the disempowered? In the moment, I am not always the best at being able to pick out between the two. But when I put my thoughts on paper in front of me, I can't escape them and I can read them from a different perspective. And that is truly what helps keep me in line every single day, because I have my moments where I waver. So writing my thoughts down, not necessarily having structured journaling, but being able to take myself out and see where my mind is at and kind of doing I'm going to call it my mental pulse every day. Like,
Mm,
where are my automatic thoughts and which direction are they headed? That'll tell me how much self-care I need to be doing. If I'm empowered, I can run off to the races, start my business, start my day. I'm good. If I am really in the suffering place, my little
mm,
mental gremlins are all over this paper and it's all full of limitations and fears. I need to spend more time getting myself back together. So again, I can serve from a full cup and not a half empty one.
mm,
Journaling, number one for me. The second then would be mantras, something that's going to put me again so that I can help steer my thoughts away from the automatic negative ones for when, again, I have that fear, that anxiety, the imposter. Having some mantras that remind me again to trust my future self, to trust the process, to have belief is what helps me the most, because we are walking into the great unknown every moment from here forward. I need to trust the person that's going to show up in those moments can handle it. And if I'm leading from the fear and the negativity in the past, I let my past, I carry it around like a backpack sometimes. Well, if I couldn't handle it 6 months ago, who am I to think that in 6 years I can handle it? And I'll let that narrative take over too long. So my mantras of, I am becoming the person that can do this. I am becoming her every day, and I'm getting closer and reminding myself that I do believe in myself and I have trust and I can see the vision. That helps keep me in line mentally for myself when I don't have a coach or a guide or a podcast to get me back in the mental gym. My mantras, my affirmations will help get me there.
Two effective ones, yeah. And I like what you said about the mental gym as well. That's a term I love as using as well. So yeah, no, really, really interesting. Like your journaling's not necessarily in a structured way. Did it used to be in a structured way, did you mean?
It
But now
did,
it's more,
absolutely.
yeah.
Mhm. I've done a lot of question answer journaling, and I teach a lot of that, and I really believe in it. Why do I feel certain ways? Let's discover the root. Let's discover what I want and get clarity. But I think sometimes, again, depending on my pulse check, where I'm at, sometimes I don't need to spend a whole lot of time journaling. Sometimes I need to spend a lot of time. This will tell me kind of the direction of my own self-care and my own mental gym. This will tell me what exercises I need to add on, or if I can just kind of stay in maintenance, cathartically get some thoughts down, see what they look like, and then go from there, depending on what I think I need in that moment.
I love the self-awareness aspect to that. And I always say, with today's age, you got so many different like views on like morning routines, and
Mm-hmm.
you can follow two highly successful entrepreneurs with completely different things, right? There's one guy I follow on his workshop at the moment, Peter Sage. I'm a big fan of, previous podcast guest as well, and he talks about his 2 maybe 3 hour morning routine. You got someone like Alex Hormozy. I get up, have my coffee, get to work. It's like,
Yeah.
so, it's like all these different things. And I love what you were saying is like, actually, what place am I in right now? What do I need?
Mm-hmm.
And that level of self-awareness. And that's something even like in the last year with a tough year that I've had to learn. It's like, okay, I'm doing this routine, that, and that. And it's actually, okay, Johnny, that's maybe a bit too much right now. Maybe you just need to sit with your thoughts. So yeah, thank you for sharing that level of insight you've had for your own routine.
Absolutely. And trust me, I learned that the hard way because I went from the rigid, I need to do all these things to get in the mental shape to be able to move on with my day. And then I would make myself suffer because then I had this checklist of tasks I needed to do. And I wasn't getting the energy boost that these things are designed to help us with, right? It became just another thing I had to wade through. And I was resenting my morning routine to a point that I was like, I'm just going to surrender again, put my hands up and be like, I'm going to do the bare minimum and figure out what do I actually want and need instead of forcing myself to do these things. I keep telling myself, the gurus tell me this is the perfect morning routine for success. You need to do these 12 things. And if you don't do it, you're not going to be blah, 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 blah. At some point, we have to just start adding in the things that we know are going to help us right now and let some of the story of why we have to do these things go away and actually listen to ourselves. I was not doing that for a while, listening to
Guilty
all the
too.
mentors, all the gurus, but I wasn't checking in with me. So I learned that lesson the hard way. And this is what's working for me right now.
Awesome. No, it's a really valuable one to share. I wanted to touch a little bit more on imposter syndrome, because this is,
Mm.
whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a career person, completely up to you, whatever you're doing, or maybe it's in your personal life as well, like in a relationship or something like that, or in a social setting. Just wanted to touch on imposter syndrome because it's a huge issue. I've been through it many times. I think you shared that you've probably been through
Oh,
it
yeah.
a few times. So for you, were there any useful points that really help, like even starting becoming a coach full time, or maybe your previous role? Any useful kind of tips, maybe 2 or 3 tips that you've got that help you move through imposter syndrome?
Absolutely. So the biggest question was always, who am I to do blank? Who am I to coach people in mindset? When I
Mm,
had just gone through, I'm going to say my bottom, my truly bottom, where I needed to make some hard choices in life and reevaluate where I was heading mentally, emotionally, everything. And so suddenly I'm a mindset coach, 4 months removed from that because I had a transition. you better believe that imposter showed up very strong for a while and still comes back when I hit some confusion or I have a mentally tough period. It's like, who am I to teach any of this stuff if I can't even listen to myself? Oh, trust me, that question comes up. And so a lot of times we can see our progress really easily when we're tracking metrics at the gym or if we're losing weight or there's numbers. But then we're trying to track our mental progress, our mindset progress. How the hell do you do it? For me, I have to be able to see my progress over time and look back and give myself credit so that I can remind myself how far I have come and that there are still people on that journey 5 years ago, 10 years ago that were me then. And I can help them now because of the hard things I've gone through, because of me learning these tough lessons. And I can save them time and energy and heartache by just sharing the good and the bad, the ugly of what I have learned on that journey. That doesn't need to be, I don't need to be the expert to be able to teach somebody that's 10 steps behind me how to get started on step one. And so reminding myself of that has helped me a lot. But mostly, again, having those journals to go back through in the past. And so making journaling in some flavor about the true thoughts you're having, not trying to analyze everything, but what are the thoughts I'm having? See those over time change and shift and develop. That becomes my progress indicator. Again, I come from math, so I like to be able to see that transition. When I'm really having the imposter syndrome, I go back and I look at my own timeline because I have to be a motivator, be my own cheerleader again, to be like, okay, but look how much has changed. Look how much you've grown. And again, if you can be the person that can speed up somebody else's timeline and not have to go through the hard lessons you had to, who am I to deny that from them by me sitting here being too worried about what I look like on camera? And when you put things in that kind of context and perspective, the imposter is ridiculous. Because again, then I would write your thoughts down of what's the imposter telling you? Oh, you don't know enough yet because you haven't read the 15 million books yet. I need to read more. I need to wait until blank. When I put those thoughts on paper and then I say, are these real or are these ridiculous? Most of them are ridiculous. And then again, you can just use new perspective to say, okay, what narrator is this? It's clearly the disempowered version that's keeping me safe and keeping me comfortable. Do I want to be this, or am I the empowered version that can move through this and know that I can help somebody? And that answer is so simple. And it's truly just that mental shift of what lens am I looking through? Is it rose colored or is it pretty bleak? And I can default to bleak and imposter real fast. So being able to remind myself, hold on, let's look for the roses and find that one person you can help today. That is very empowering for me. I don't need to serve everybody, but if I can help one human put a smile on their face and think about themselves a little better, that helps me. And why would I not do that?
I kind of picked out from that, it was the being the real you of actually where are you, where have you come on, and actually thinking outside of yourself. I think for me personally, that always helps when I'm not just focused on me and I'm actually like, can I genuinely help this person? And it sometimes when you get feedback from clients, it's like, oh, you helped me so much in this, and you don't even realize. So going back to those reflections can really help. That's just an extra tip as well. And likewise, you can always there's always a tiny chance that there's the odd person that might criticize you. Like the other day, someone asked me on TikTok what qualifications I had to make a video about mindset, which was interesting. Didn't get involved, but luckily that holds some people back. But there's always the odd person. But there's so many people out there like, oh, thank you so much. What you're doing, you're changing my life, and it's really helping impact me. So thinking about those people, I love what you're saying about how you could just help that one person and avoid that negative bias that may come in.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Brie, really appreciate your time on here. I think we could talk for hours about mindset. And I always love learning from you as well. Always like seeing your content. So just before we wrap up today, is there like a final point you wanted to add that maybe we missed, may not be? And also, where can the listener find you if they want to find out more about your work?
Excellent question. I guess my final point would just be to your audience in general, if you are struggling with your mindset, or not even struggling, but you know you want something stronger, and you know that you deserve to treat yourself better, just start taking yourself out of your thoughts. And again, just because we have a thought, it does not mean it's true and it needs to define us and it needs to be part of who we are. We can decide which to take with us and carry into the future, and we can decide which to leave behind. And so if you're being not so nice to yourself, try to be the observer, notice those, and poke holes in the stories around it, and realize, again, the more ridiculous it is on paper, it has no grounds of justification if you're telling yourself bad things. Go make the story of why you're an incredible person and why you deserve everything. Go make that story stronger for yourself so that you can remember who you are and remember what you deserve, and remember that we take a lot of things really seriously and we don't always have to, including our own thoughts. Question everything. It can change your entire world. That being said, if you want to find more of my stuff, find me on social media. My handle is just my name at Brie Willits, Brie like the cheese. And then if you want to listen to my podcast, it's called Becoming Better Together.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to link that in the show notes as well. So once again, a big thank you for coming on and talking today, Brie.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, you're in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.